is starting a YouTube channel worth it? I'm not here to make some grandiose claims that YouTube has changed my life. However, there are some things that I have learned. I started my YouTube channel 6 months ago, and since then I've seen so many videos with some variation of the title, how YouTube changed my life with so and so amount of subscribers in so and so amount of time. And when I first started seeing those videos with those titles, I kept thinking, are these people really doing that well on YouTube so soon? Because while I wasn't watching the videos, I would go to their pages and see that they had pretty new channels. So eventually, after seeing so many of these videos with some variation of the title, I finally watched one, and it was actually very different than what I expected. The person wasn't making all these claims about going viral or making a ton of money. They were actually talking about very personal and emotional ways that YouTube was having an effect on their mindsets. Now, this I could relate to. So I'm not here to make some grandiose claims that YouTube has changed my life, because it hasn't. My life is very much the same as it was 6 months ago before starting this channel. However, there are some things that I have learned over my first 6 months on YouTube, and those are something I can share with you. So today I'm going to be sharing 5 things that I've learned in my first 6 months of YouTube. And the first one of those things is how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. If you've ever tried putting yourself out there on the internet, you know that it can be very intimidating, especially if you're talking about your personal life like I've been doing so far on this channel. It's taken a long time for me to get comfortable posting anything online, much less something like this channel. So I've already grown a lot in that respect, long before even starting this channel. But now that I'm consistently working on something, the discomfort is on another level. I literally hold my breath and shut my eyes every time I click publish. But I just keep doing it over and over, and the plan is to continue doing so, broadening my comfort zone just a smidge every time I upload something. The second lesson that I'm learning is follow through. I am not characteristically someone with great follow through. I start and don't finish things all the time, but I'm sticking to my guns with YouTube. And even though I am taking breaks between videos, which is why I'm not posting weekly as I'd originally planned, I do make sure to then continue with the next one after I've taken a little bit of a breather after the previous one. And while I'm still at the beginning of my YouTube timeline or journey, there are some things that are helping me to keep going. The first one is the low barrier to entry and the low barrier to keep going. The biggest resource that you need to have a YouTube channel is time, and I happen to have that at the moment. You don't need money, which is often what keeps me from continuing a hobby, because hobbies can get very expensive very fast. You don't even need a camera, and I just so happen to have one, so that's just a plus. The second thing keeping me going is that I'm just having fun. There are so many skills that creating these videos involves, and I'm really enjoying the learning process. And because there is so much to learn, it hasn't been something that I've gotten bored with quickly, because there's just always something new. And the third thing keeping me going is that I'm finding the process of making these videos kind of therapeutic. Sitting down and thinking about what it is that I want to say and making sense of my own thoughts is having kind of a cathartic effect on me. So moving on to lesson number 3, which has been acceptance. I had historically never really considered myself a perfectionist until my last boss brought it up. When I was talking about the struggles that I was having at the job, and he just kept assuring me that I was doing a good job, and after a while of me just consistently basically saying that I didn't feel like I was doing a good job, he told me to consider whether I was having perfectionistic tendencies. And when I did stop to reflect on it, it made me realize that I literally don't even try things unless I know for a fact that I will be at least a certain amount of good from the start. If it's something that I know I'll struggle with, I either just don't start at all or I quit very early on. That realization was another motivator for me to just start the channel and not think too deeply about it. There comes a point with every video where I think every creator would like to just continue refining and perfecting, but that stage could last forever if you let it. At a certain point, you have to find a stopping point, be okay with the things that aren't perfect, release your creation into the world, and move on to the next one. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. My aim with my YouTube channel is to follow Mr. Beast, whose videos I've never seen, by the way, but I have seen his interview videos, and his suggestion is for you to just get 1% better with each video. So make one thing better every time you have a new upload. That's it. Lesson number 4, growing a thicker skin. I've always been a pretty sensitive gal, and recently I received what I considered to be my first true negative comment. And I was so hurt by something that really wasn't even that deep. But what bothered me the most was that here I am trying to create this positive space, and immediately someone jumps at the opportunity to be unnecessarily mean and rude. I was so bothered by it to the point where I felt like it was ruining my whole day. But eventually I took a nap, which served as a little reset for me. And when I woke up, I just felt so much better. And with that, I felt like I had crossed the threshold of getting my first negative comment, which I had been waiting for, and moving on from it. Now I just wait for the next one, because there will always be a next one, right? But that's where the growth is. That is what is helping me grow my thicker skin, and to learn how to let people's opinions of me just slide. And before I move on to the 5th lesson that I've learned on my first 6 months of YouTube, I want to say this little PSA. As we're growing up, we're often told that we do need to learn how to be uncomfortable, otherwise you won't be successful. And that's true, but only to a certain extent. At this point of my life, I've learned that you most certainly can have a normal / successful life without hardly ever stepping out of your comfort zone. Not until very recently did I realize this, when I started taking those uncomfortable steps in my life. For example, I started going to networking events for the first time ever. I also started going to Toastmasters, and of course, like, starting this channel and actually showing my face and being vulnerable for all of these strangers to see and potentially be rude about. So because it's not really necessary to step out of your comfort zone, it is very easy to sit there and watch someone doing something and think that it's cringy or weird or whatever, but at least they are doing something. They're putting themselves out there knowing that they will very likely be ridiculed, and just the fact that they still choose to do the thing anyway speaks volumes to the backbone of that person. Despite any discomfort that I feel, it hasn't kept me from continuing. And anytime I start to feel that scared feeling again, I keep going back to what now seems to be a famous quote of the man in the arena. I actually printed it, framed it. Actually, you could see it right there behind me, and it truly is helpful, because if you pay attention, a lot of the people who are making these ignorant or rude comments would only do so behind the safety of a computer. And why does their opinion matter anyway? It doesn't. So I'm gonna share this, a reminder to my fellow human beings who have forgotten one of the lessons that we learn in pre-K. Before you speak, think. Is it true, helpful, inspiring, necessary, kind? If it negates any of these, zip it. the world will be a better place for it. Okay, 5th lesson, patience. After that rant, but I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it can feel a little silly working so hard and spending so much time on these videos for them to just sit there potentially unwatched. But I'm trying not to focus on the views so much as the process, my own satisfaction with the project, and potentially being helpful to anyone who might watch one of my videos, whether that is just one person or more. And I'm happy to say that that's already happening. I've received a few comments from people who really seem to have benefited in some way from what I've had to say, and it feels great to know that. So if you do ever find something that I say beneficial, please let me know, including this video, because these comments really do serve as a push for me to keep going. They really are motivating for me. It's nice to know that someone resonates with something that I've had to say or with an experience. So yeah, always let me know. And so those are my 5 lessons that I'm sharing with you today. And that brings us to the ultimate question. Is starting a YouTube channel worth it? Resoundingly, yes. Whether or not I ever manage to get some sort of solid following on here or not, I'm loving doing this. As someone who has never been that person to record everything, it feels very weird for me to be doing so now, but I also like that I'm creating things that I'll be able to look back on forever, and not only me but my parents and of course my daughter, none of which actually know about my channel yet, but eventually I'll share. And I do want to end this video by thanking the, let me check, 143 people who have found something on my channel useful enough for them to subscribe. I do really appreciate that, and I hope that you continue to find my videos useful or relatable in some way. And whatever that thing is that you've been putting off, whether it's a YouTube channel or anything else, go for it. The worst thing you can do is not try. And before you go, I do want to ask, if you like this video, please give it a like, let me know in the comments, and you might also enjoy this one, so check it out.